Good morning. Today we are going to start our next module second module, and it consists of five sections. And the first section is section 33 of our chapter, our book, Finite Fields. Okay. Now, first we are going to discuss one theorem, and the theorem says that let E be a finite extension of degree n over a finite field F. Clear? If F has Q elements, then E has Q raised to n elements. Once again, what is E? E is a finite extension of degree n over the finite field F. Actually, E is an extension field of F, and F is a finite field, and cardinality of F or number of elements of F is Q. And given that F is an extension field and it is a finite extension, therefore using the property we get degree of E over F is finite, and given that this degree is n. Okay, then this theorem says that if F has Q elements, E is a finite extension of degree n, then number of elements of E is Q raised to n. Okay, one of the interesting result, if F has Q elements, cardinality of F equal to Q, and the degree of E over F equal to n, then cardinality of E equal to Q raised to n. Okay. Now moving to the proof, given that E is a finite extension of degree n over a finite field F, then what is the definition? By definition, E is an n-dimensional vector space over F. Let alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n be a basis for E. Okay, then every element beta belongs to E can be expressed in the form, because E is an n-dimensional vector space over F, and alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n is a basis. Therefore, every element you can write as a linear combination of elements of the basis. So, beta you can write as B1 alpha 1 plus etc. plus Bn alpha n, and each Bi belongs to F. Since Bi may be any Q elements of the total, any of the Q elements, because Bi belongs to F and cardinality of F equal to Q, the Bi may be any of the Q elements. Okay, so the total number of such linear combination of alpha i's, how many combinations are there? Here Bi's, B1 have combination, B2 have combination, B2 repeated Q times, etc. So here total n numbers. So E has Q raised to n elements. Okay, for example, if you consider like this, some two element case, some alpha 1 plus B1 alpha 1 plus B2 alpha 2. Suppose BI have BI have repeated some 3 times, okay, or cardinality of F equal to 3, and here degree is 2. So as per this result, E has 3 raised to 2 elements, okay, 9 elements, okay. So what about the combinations? The possibilities are, first one, up to 3, okay, 3 elements. So what are the possibilities? So for convenience, I am taking elements as 1, 2, 3. So the first part, B1 is 1, and B2 1, B1 1, B2 2, B1 1, B2 3. The second part is B1 2, B2 1, B1 2, B2 2, B1 2, B2 3. And the third part is 3, and 1, 3, 2, 3. So total possibilities 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like this. Okay. Therefore, E has similarly proceeding like this, we get E, if in general we get E has Q raised to N elements. And that means what? Finite extension of a finite field is finite. So if F is a finite field, then E has Q raised to N elements means number of elements of E is finite. Therefore, finite extension of a finite field is finite. Clear? Now moving to corollary. If E is a field of characteristic P, then E contains exactly P raised to N elements for some positive integer N. E is a field of characteristic P, then E contains exactly P raised to N elements for some positive integer N. Okay, we have one result. A field is either of prime characteristic P and contains a subfield isomorphic to set P, or of characteristic 0 and it contains a subfield isomorphic to Q. Okay, so here we are taking a field is of characteristic P. So this is of characteristic P and this means this contains a subfield isomorphic to set P. Okay, uh, every finite field uh, E is a finite extension of a prime field isomorphic to set P. We have this result. Okay, every finite field. E of characteristic P means actually this is finite field. Okay, every finite field is actually a finite extension of a prime field set P, where P is the characteristic of E. Okay, here E is of characteristic P, and that means E is a finite extension of set P. Set P has P elements. This is a finite extension. Therefore, using above theorem, we have this contains P raised to N elements for some integer N. Okay. Set P has P elements by theorem. This one E contains P raised to N elements for some positive integer N. Now moving to next theorem. This is also important. Let E be a field of P raised to N elements. Let E be a field of P raised to N elements contained in an algebraic closure set P closure of set P. Okay. E is a field of P raised to N elements and what is E? E is contained in set P closure of set P. Okay. Then the result says that the elements of E are precisely zeros in set P closure of the polynomial x raised to P raised to N minus x in set Px. Once again, given that cardinality of E equal to P raised to N elements and E is contained in set P closure. Okay. Then the theorem says that the elements of P are exactly the zeros of the polynomial x raised to P raised to N minus x in Zp of x. Okay. How many zeros for this polynomial? For the polynomial x raised to n minus x, here number of roots are n. Here number of roots p raised to n. So we have to show that we have to prove every element of E are roots of this polynomial. Okay. So given E is a field, and therefore the set E star of non-zero elements form a multiplicative group of order p raised to n minus 1. Clear? Already we know if E is a field, then non-zero elements of E form a multiplicative group. Okay. Of order. What about the order? We are removing identity element. Total elements is P raised to n. Removing identity element is removing one element. That means P raised to n. So E star of non-zero elements is of order P raised to n minus 1. Okay. Now let alpha belongs to E star. Then the order of alpha divides order of the groups. That means P raised to n minus 1. Thus, if alpha order of an element divides order of the group means alpha raised to p raised to n minus 1 is already equal to 1. That means alpha raised to p raised to n by alpha equal to 1. That is alpha raised to p raised to n minus alpha equal to 0. That is alpha raised to p raised to n minus alpha equal. Thus, every element alpha in E is a 0 of the polynomial x raised to p raised to n minus x. Since x raised to p raised to n minus x has at most p raised to n zeros, we see that E contains precisely the zeros of x raised to p raised to n minus x. Because this polynomial has at most p raised to n zeros, E contains exactly p raised to n elements, and all elements of p are zeros of this polynomial. That means E contains precisely the zeros of x raised to p raised to n minus x in set P closure. Okay. Now moving to next definition. An element alpha of a field F is a nth root of unity if alpha raised to n is equal to 1. An element alpha of a field is a nth root of unity if alpha raised to n equal to 1. And it is the primitive nth root of unity if alpha raised to n equal to 1 and alpha raised to m not equal to 1 for 0 less than m less than n. Okay, then we call it is the primitive nth root of unity. So alpha raised to n is equal to 1 and n is the smallest positive integer such that alpha raised to n is equal to 1. That is for 0 less than m less than strictly less than n, alpha raised to m not equal to 1. In that case, we call alpha is the primitive nth root of unity. Now, the non-zero elements of a finite field f of p raised to n elements are all p raised to n minus 1th root of unity. Okay, we know that. If alpha is an element of a field containing, if is a element, non-zero element in a field E or F containing p raised to n element, we know that alpha raised to p raised to n minus 1 must be equal to 1 because order of an element divides order of the group. Therefore, alpha raised to p raised to n minus 1 must be equal to 1. That means, what is this one? Alpha is the primitive and p raised to n minus 1 the root of unity. Now this already you have discussed in corollary 23.6. This is also in our syllabus this time. The multiplicative group F star, non-zero elements of F, finite field F is cyclic. Okay. Proof you will discuss with your first semester notebook. Okay. So moving to, this is also in our syllabus, so you must write the proof here and complete the note. Okay. Now next corollary. A finite extension E of a finite field is a simple extension of F. This is important. Okay. A finite extension E of a finite field is a simple extension. How we can prove this one? Consider E star. So we have, what we have to prove? F is a subfield of E. E is a finite extension of F and F is a finite field. Then we have to prove E is a simple extension. That means E equal to F of alpha for some alpha. This is what we have to prove. Now consider E star, the non-zero elements of E. Then by this theorem, earlier theorem, E star under multiplication is a cyclic group. E is a finite field implies E star is also a finite field. Okay. Now let alpha be a generator of this cyclic group E star under multiplication. Okay. Now we know that F is a subfield of F of alpha is a subfield of E because F of alpha is the smallest subfield of E containing F and alpha. So we have this. So we have this result. So if we prove E is a subfield of F of alpha, then we get E equal to F of alpha. So our aim is to prove this. For this, you take some x belongs to E. And alpha is a generator means x is equal to alpha raised to k for some k. Alpha belongs to F of alpha, therefore alpha raised to k belongs to F of alpha. So x belongs to f of alpha because x is equal to alpha raised to k. Alpha raised to k belongs to f of alpha. Therefore, x belongs to f of alpha. Therefore, we get E is the subfield of f of alpha. From 1 and 2, we get E equal to f of alpha. Therefore, E is a simple extension of f. Okay. So, this is important. Okay. Finite extension E of a finite field is a simple extension. Okay. Proof is also very simple. Okay. Now, prove that set 11 star under multiplication is cyclic and find the generators of Z11 star or find all primitive 10th root of unity in Z11. Okay. So what we have to prove first? We have to prove Z11 star under multiplication is cyclic. Consider the finite field Z11, actually this one, by theorem 33.7 Z1 star under multiplication is a cyclic group. We are not going to prove this. Okay. Now what we have to find generators of Z11 star or we have to find primitive 10th root of unity. Now we will start with what about Z11 star. The elements are Z11 means 0, 1, 2, etc. up to 10. Z11 star means 1, 2, etc. up to 10. So if we start with 1, 1 into 1, 1, 1 into 1, 1, again 1, 1, multiplication. Here operation is multiplication. So there is nothing to get. Okay. So we are starting with the 2. So now cardinality of set 11 star is 10. Order of an element of a group divides order of the group. So order of 2 may be divides 10. So the only possibility order of 2 is 1, 2, 5 or 10 because order of an element divides 10 means order of 2 also divides 10. So the only possible. So we are checking 2 raised to 1 which is equal to 2. 2 raised to 2 which is equal to 4. 2 raised to 5 which is equal to 32 and this is congruent to 10 mod 11. This we are considering everything in Z11. Okay. So 10 mod 11 and 2 raised to 5 equal to 10 mod 11 and this is equal to 2 raised to 5 equal to 10 is same as minus 1. Okay. So 2 raised to 2 is not equal to neither 2 nor 2 raised to 5 is 1. So the only possibility is 2 raised to 10 must be 1. 2 raised to 10 must be 1. Cardinalities of this group is 10 and 2 raised to 10 is equal to 1. That means 2 is a generator. We have result. If A is a generator of the group, then order of order n implies order of A equal to n. Okay. Similarly, if G is a cyclic group with order n, A raised to n equal to 1 means A is a generator. We have this result. Okay. So A is a generator of group of order n implies order of A equal to n, and similarly here we know that this is a cyclic group and A raised to n is equal to 1. 2 raised to 10 equal to 1 implies 2 is a generator. Therefore, 2 is a generator of Z11 star. Note that 2 is the primitive 10th root of unity in Z11 star because only power. Okay, 2, we know that 2 raised to m is not equal to 1 for 0 less than m less than 10. So, okay, so 2 is the primitive 10th root of unity in Z11. Okay. And there is one more result. If A is a generator of a finite cyclic group of order n, then other generators of G are elements of the form A raised to R, where R is relatively prime to n. Okay. So we have 2 is a generator. So what about other generators? All generators of Z11 star are primitive 10th root of unity because order of Z11 star is 10. Okay. So all generators of Z11 star means some element raised to 10 equal to 1. A is a generator means this condition. So A is also primitive 10th root of unity. So you applying this result, elements that are relatively okay. Or other generators are of the form 2 raised to r, where r is relatively prime to n. So what about the numbers relatively prime to 10? Numbers relatively prime to 10 are 1, 3, 7, 9. So other elements are 2 raised to 1, 2 raised to 3, 2 raised to 7, 2 raised to 9. Because here order is 10. Okay. And 2 raised to 2, 8, 7. And 2 raised to 3 is 8. 2 raised to 7 is 7 modulo 11. Similarly, 2 raised to 9 is 6. Therefore, the other generators are 2, 6, 7, 8. Therefore, primitive 10th root of unity in Z11 are 2, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. 2 raised to 7, you can evaluate. 2 raised to 6 is 64 and 128 and 128 congruent to 11 into 11, 121. So this is congruent to 7 mod 11 because we are considering everything Z11. Okay. Now similarly 2 raised to 9 also. 2 raised to 9 is actually congruent to 7 into 2 raised to 2 congruent to mod. Okay. 2 raised to 2 is 4, 28. 28 is actually congruent to 6 mod 11. Okay, so 2 raised to 9 is 6. Now find all primitive fifth root of unity in set 11. What is primitive fifth root of unity? Alpha is a primitive fifth root of unity means alpha raised to 5 equal to 1 and alpha raised to m not equal to 1 for 0 less than m strictly less than 5. Okay. That is for m equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this something is equal to alpha raised to 1 equal to, okay, alpha raised to, we know we have 5 into 2 equal to 10 and primitive fifth root of unity in set 11 star are elements of the form 2 raised to m where GCD of m and 10 is equal to 2 because we have elements all everything considered in set 11 star order is 10, so alpha is to 10 is equal to 1 that we know. Okay, and to we here we want to find those elements with alpha raised to 5 equal to 1. For this something raised to 5 equal to 1 is only possible if this is some multiple of 2. Okay, so we are considering elements with GCD of m and 10 equal to 2. We are considering those m with GCD of m and 10 is equal to 2. GCD of m and 10 is equal to 2 are elements 2, 4, 6 and 8. So 2 raised to, so therefore fifth root of unity are 2 raised to 2 and 2 raised to 4, 2 raised to 6 and 2 raised to 3. That is fifth root of unity are 3, 4, 5, 9. Okay. Similarly, for finding square root of unity, primitive square root of unity in set 11, for this, here we know that alpha raised to 10 is equal to 1. For getting 10, here primitive square root means alpha raised to 2 equal to 1 and for 0 and 1, alpha raised to 0 not equal to 1 and alpha raised to 1 is not equal to 1. This is a, we want to get elements such with satisfies this property. Okay, for 2 is a generator, we have to find elements such that 2 raised to something raised to 10 is equal to square equal to 1. This is possible only if this here number must be 5. So here we are finding elements are of the form 2 raised to m where GCD of m and 10 is equal to 5. So 2 raised to m equal to 2 raised to 5. Elements with the GCD 5 is only 5. Okay, 2 raised to 5 which is equal to 10. Hence primitive square root of unity in set 11 is 10. Minus 1 or 10. Okay, so primitive square root means here as order is 10. Primitive square root means for finding primitive square root as 2 is a generator, we have to find those elements with the GCD of m and 10 is equal to 5. For finding primitive fifth root of unity, we have to find those elements with the GCD of m and 10 is equal to 2. Okay, then this raised to 5 is clearly equal to 1. Okay, that's all for today's class.